Round two of Class 1A is here again. My name is Kate Nissen, delivering you our rankers picks for each game this Friday. And it is worth noting that our ranker went a perfect 16-0 last week, picking the 1A games. So he definitely knows what he's talking about, and he's back another week as matchups get a little tougher. We're going to see how he does again. He made sure to put in his notes document that he did indeed go 16-0 picking, which is incredible. Where are we now? Same thing with all classes. 16 teams remain. You're placed in your pod. Win your pod, and you're off to Cedar Falls, and you'll be reseeded once we hit the dome. So again, pod A, B, C, and D. All classes are set up the same, so we are on a level playing field. And as our ranker said, 16-0 last week. He picked every single game correctly. So definitely worth noting that his opinion is one you should take into account. As we head into Pod A, though, let's get right into this. Pod A featuring matchups between Pella Christian at Grundy Center and Dyke New Hartford at Sigourney Keota. Starting with this Pod A game on the top, played in Grundy Center. The Spartans put up a season-high 50 points last week against Cascade. Oh, shoot, my bad. Moving that around accidentally. Again, the Spartans put up a season-high 50 points last week against Cascade. The Eagles have had a great run, but you don't see how to close the gap. And they've actually played each other way back earlier in the year. This was a 38-6 win for Grundy Center, so our ranker is going to go with Grundy Center again in this one over Pella Christian in the top half of Pod A. Moving to the bottom half, Dyke New Hartford at Sigourney Keota. The Cobras are red hot. There's a lot to like about the Wolverines, though, with the stymie defense, but the Cobras have just been next level for the past month, with 5 dangerous weapons that they can rotate in the backfield at any time, including dual threat quarterback Sawyer Stout. Our ranker is indeed going with the hot hand and Sigourney Keota. This would set up a Sigourney Keota Grundy Center matchup, a top 5 matchup, I believe, in Class 1A. I don't have the rankings right in front of me, but I'm pretty sure both those teams are top 5 in Class 1A with our rankers polls. So that would set up a fun matchup to head to Cedar Falls. Moving to Pod B, though. Fun one here. AHSTW at 6-3 will head to Underwood, who's 8-1, and Trainer, who's 8-1, will head to OABCIG, who's 7-2. Starting with that top matchup, last week in a 44-6 win over East Sac County, the Eagles surrendered their first points since mid-September. Really a bad look for the Eagles. No, I'm kidding. That's just an incredible run. It had to end at some point, and it ends in round one. Again, the Eagles' defense has just been incredible. And on the other hand, AHSTW has found a new groove on defense to complement a versatile offense led by running back Luke Sternberg. But having sputtered in a 28-12 loss to Underwood already, it's the Eagles' game to lose. AHSTW did play them closer than a lot of other teams, so could be a little bit of a scary matchup for Underwood, but nevertheless, our ranker is going with the top team in Class 1A, his number one team in Class 1A, to advance to the next round. Moving on to the bottom matchup, Trainer at OABCIG. OABCIG has come a long way since the 49-0 loss to West Lyon. The Cardinals have been similarly dominant, and it should be a nice quarterback duel between Ben Casey of Trainer, who has 24 touchdowns, and Bryson Kolar of OABCIG, who has 23 of his own. I think Trainer should disrupt Kolar a bit more than most teams, says our ranker, as they have the advantage with 14 sacks versus 7 sacks from OABCIG. They both have some great ball hawks, but the edge is with the Falcons in this one. Our ranker is going with OABCIG at home to take on or to beat Trainer and set up a matchup with the number one team in Underwood to head to the Unidome. Moving on to Pod C, our third pod here, Sumner Fredericksburg on the road, 8-1 at Emmitsburg, and we got Columbus Catholic at 7-2 heading to South Hamilton, who's 8-1. Starting with that top matchup, 2 top defenses collide, but the versatility of Sumner's offense should give the edge. Emmitsburg has had a solid rushing attack with nearly 2,500 yards between the rotation, but Sumner has an extra advantage with Davis Van Sickle giving a solid option through the air. Our ranker is going with the road team here, Sumner Fredericksburg, the ranked team versus an unranked team on the road. He's giving his ranked team an advantage, and he thinks that the Cougars will be off to the Pod C final. Moving on to Columbus Catholic and South Hamilton. Columbus gave Grundy Center a tough fight a month ago in a 21-14 loss. And they have a balanced offense that could give the Hawks some trouble, but South Hamilton proved capable of stopping a similar offense in a 50-0 win over Woodward Granger. Meanwhile, no one has been able to stop South Hamilton's elite rushing attack. Our ranker is giving the edge to South Hamilton, which would set up a huge matchup with Sumner Fredericksburg battle really two competitive teams, a ton of teams that put up a ton of points, a lot of fireworks, great defense. That would be an instant classic to head to Cedar Falls. Moving on to Pod D, our final one, West Branch at MFL Marmac, which is going to be a ton of fun, and a rematch between Wilton and Regina Catholic. Really fun pod right here. We'll start with the top matchup. The Bulldogs are just 4 points away from being undefeated as they hit a new gear last week in a 55-3 win over Hudson. That was almost done exclusively on the ground, but they are plenty capable of airing it out. Love the pass defense from RMAC 2 with 20 sacks, while West Branch has about half the pressures. Credit to West Branch for a 21-17 win over Regina Catholic. That looks really good right now. But our ranker says MFL Marmac is just a different tier. He's giving the edge to the home team and a top 5 ranked team in MFL Marmac to advance to the Pod D final. Moving on here, rematch. The Beavers disassembled Woodward Granger last week, 49-21 behind a 5-touchdown performance from Drew Keith. But like other games this weekend, it's tough to see a world where that can translate against a team Wilton lost to 35-0 earlier this year. That's a common theme. Our ranker is loving to pick the team that has already picked up a win in these rematches. He's sticking with the hot hand. It's not easy to beat a good team twice, but some of these scores from earlier in the year are just so lopsided. It's hard to see a world where Wilton recovers from a 35-0 loss earlier in the year to Regina. So he is picking the Regals, and that would create a Regina MFL Marmac matchup, two of the highest scoring teams, not only in the class, but arguably in the entire state of Iowa. That would be a ton of fun if that matchup was to come true. But really, that's all we got for Class 1A's round 2 predictions. We're 1 week away from deciding who goes to the Unidome. Ton of good matchups here. Our ranker, again, 16-0 last week. We'll see how he fares this week. Be sure to like this video. Drop a comment what you think. Agree, disagree, doesn't matter. We enjoy seeing that you guys are watching us. Class 1A has been good to us all year. A ton of people love Class 1A football in the state of Iowa, and I hope that doesn't change. Class 1A fans, I'll catch you next week for those previews.